So during your freshman year season, your team won the Beanpot. Now I know you didn't play in any of those games that season, but what was it like to be a part of that team and win that trophy for the first time in Northeastern? Because I feel like a lot of people didn't really expect you guys to win that Beanpot, but when you guys finally did, that must have been a good feeling and a cool team to be a part of that year.
Yeah, that was absolutely magical. I mean, it meant just as much to me, I think, as if I had been on the ice. Just growing up with my dad's family from Boston, I knew how big the Beanpot was. My team would always go to those games when we were little and, watch those girls, and they look so big and so strong. And I mean, that's exactly what our team was last year. Our seniors were just so solid, and our whole team was so solid. And so, even though I wasn't on the ice, just to know I was a part of that team and at the practices every day, the lifts and learning from those older girls was crucial to my growing process these past 2 years. So that was a really cool experience. I mean, getting on the ice, lifting that above my head, and just like celebrating with the team, that was the coolest thing.
Can you put like food in the bean pot and like eat out of it? Or is it like you can't do it? I'm just curious about that because I remember seeing somewhere, maybe it was the men's team that like they had cereal out of the bean pot. I didn't know if the women's trophy is different than that or not.
I want to say we put cereal in like a bag and then put it in there so that it
Yeah,
didn't get like, we didn't do anything messy with it. But that's definitely on the agenda at some point is to just, put it straight in.
exactly. Exactly. Do you get to keep it or do you have to give it back at some point?
Um, I think we had to give it back. We kept it the whole year. We had it in our locker room for a while, and at one point we had in our little lounge, we had our like I say a little, but we had our ECAC trophy, Ivy League, and then the Bean Pot, and just like walking in every day and seeing that so casually, it's just like what is
Yeah. It motivates you to get better though, because you want to win
yeah,
more.
no, 100%. Now I walk in, and I'm like, okay, we gotta have that filled again.
Now, your team also got to go to Minnesota Duluth or play Minnesota Duluth and play in the NCAA tournament for the first time in your playing career. What was that experience like from your perspective, getting to travel to Minnesota and be a part of a tournament team?
Going to Minnesota was so cool. I mean, just knowing how big of a deal it is to make it to the tournament and to be there and, be a collegiate athlete at such a high level was really, really cool. And, seeing our team play in those games obviously wanted a different outcome and to go a little bit further. But I think just getting that initial taste of it my freshman year was important because now I want to get back out there and be on the ice this time, making a difference. But it was definitely a really, really cool experience.
Now, you improved a lot from your freshman year to your sophomore year. You got your first career points this past season and went from playing in 7 games your freshman year to playing in 30 games during your sophomore year. What would you say was the biggest improvement that you made to your game from your freshman to your sophomore year that led to your increase in playing time and offensive success that you had on the stat sheet?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was just confidence. That freshman year, I was learning a lot from our upperclassmen and just seeing how they do things and learning our systems. And then once I kind of had confidence in myself and knew my teammates had confidence in me as well, it did wonders for me. And I was able to use, my biggest assets to my advantage. And even though I was like scared to initially. And so, my size, my speed, I'm a very defensive minded player, love a good face off. And once I kind of was able to stick to those things and not be afraid to have those as my biggest traits, I was really pumped to use them to my advantage. And um, just like being with our team and having their support was really huge for me.
Confidence is an interesting thing because I think it's so important for a player, but I don't think players realize how important it is because confidence, it's so hard to gain it, but it's so easy to lose it. Like you can lose it in one play, but you
Yeah.
can gaining confidence, can sometimes take months. So how did you sort of
Yeah.
work on that throughout the season?
Yeah. I think it was a lot of a lot of relying on my summer training, training again at that gym back home, SBC, and back at the UPMC Lemieux complex in Pittsburgh. My training was really intense and I felt extremely ready going into the season. And, beginning of the season, we're kind of shaking through things, figuring out the lineup, but I kind of feel like I hit the ground running come January and our game at Fenway. I felt a lot more like myself than I had in like 2 years. So that was really huge for me and just, relying on what you can bring to the table and not letting little things shake it. But it definitely took a lot of time of mental training like off the ice to get there.
I do want to ask, what was that game at Fenway like for you? It seemed like it was picturesque with the snow coming down,
Uh,
so
it
it
was so
looked like a lot
cool.
of fun.
Yeah, it was actually raining that whole week, and we were scared it was gonna like our game was gonna get rained out. But I want to say it was like 30 minutes before we got on the ice, it turned to snow, and we went out from the locker room and just looked at the park, and it was just like a blizzard. And my family all drove in, and the whole team, everyone's parents came to that, and it was just absolutely magical. I mean, they had to shovel the ice like every 5 minutes, so it felt like you could barely move the puck, but you're just skating out there and you can't like stop smiling. I mean,
Mhm.
even the girls in Quinnipiac, they were just like, this is so cool. Like, when are we going to get to experience this again?
Yeah, especially such an iconic ballpark like Fenway. Like that's pretty cool as well to get to say that you played there, especially since the Penguins play there for the Winter Classic. So that's
Yeah.
pretty cool from your perspective, going
Yeah.
to see both of those, I assume.
Yeah, we did a Secret Santa, and my teammate Kaylee Crawford got me a hat from the Winter Classic that had the Pens logo on it. And I wasn't able to go to the game, but that hat like meant the world to me. And just like sitting on the bench, and those benches were like heated. So
Yeah.
I felt like freezing on the ice, which is one of the concerns too. But we were like in the locker room in between periods, putting our gloves and all of our stuff on top of the fans, just trying to get them to air out. I like wrapped my stick in tape so I could like hold it better. But it was so cool.
Exactly. And I think when you look back on that, like years from now, you're going to remember just the whole experience, not sort of what happened in the game. At least that's what I feel like is going to, if I were to play in that sort of environment. So
100%. And our media team, I mean, Phil knows they put in so much work for that game, and we had so many people like following us that whole day and taking pictures. You felt like a celebrity. It was really cool.
now you got to play in your first Beanpot this past season as well. Even though you guys didn't win those games, I just want to ask what that experience was like, getting to play in a Beanpot at Boston College, and how excited are you for the Beanpot to be potentially played at the Garden for your team next season?
I'm so pumped for the Garden. I mean, watching the guys' games this past year, I was just kept asking. I was like, why are we not here? So it's nice to finally be able to be performing there, and I'm so excited for the Beanpot this year. I think the past year, a big part of it was just like the reality of playing in it and it being my first year and not trying to be swayed by the shock of it and just be approaching it as any other game, but obviously with a bit higher stakes in terms of that trophy. And just in that arena, seeing all like the little girls that come to watch us. I mean, I knew I was that girl a few years back. So it's so magical and so special. So I'm really excited for this year.
That's awesome. Is the third place game going to be played at the Garden, or is it just the championship game? I wasn't quite sure what the announcement. I hope the third place game is played at the Garden because, as you know, that consolation game is really very low energy, and that's just putting it
Yeah,
nicely. So I just feel like that the
very
Garden
low
is sort of
energy.
it'll be a lot more fun to be in.
I rumor has it that it's just the final that's there, but I mean, Philip can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's just the final. But the guys had both of their games there, just saying.
I know. I understand maybe a semifinal, but you got to put the third place game there because
I
that's
know.
I know a lot of players would like for that game to not happen. So at least if you're going to have it at the Garden, I think that would be a good.
Special.
That's just my opinion personally, but I feel
Yeah,
like your team's going to get to the Garden regardless next year. So I'll have the confidence in your team to do it.
thank you. Biggest thing now is just getting Harvard out there to watch the game because I know it the guys last year, I mean, the stands were full and it's trying to gauge the ratio of Harvard to Northeastern students, at least for the guys being pot, and
Yeah.
really want to make sure we have packed stadium as packed as possible.
Yeah, you want to get rid of that reputation because I feel like a lot of the Boston schools say you guys have no fans, but I know that's not true. So
Not true.
you got to prove them wrong a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, believe it or not, you're going to be a junior next year, which is pretty crazy to think about. What type of leadership do you want to bring to the team as one of the more veteran players on the team? And are you more of a lead by example type of player, or sort of vocal leader? I'm just curious about because your junior class is huge. Like I think it's like
Yeah.
almost half the team, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's massive. I think we've definitely learned how to all work with one another, and we're so close this year. After the past 2 years, we've just gotten super close as a unit. So we're really excited to showcase that on the ice and build off of the confidence we were building last year. But I definitely am kind of a mixture in terms of leadership. I'm mostly just a positive force, trying to make sure everyone's smiling and not getting down in the dumps if, we might be down a point or whatever it may be. But because I am mostly happy-go-lucky, smiley all the time. When I do get serious and, dial in and say it's time to do something, I think that people listen to me, which is nice. But we've got a lot of really vocal girls, and everyone is able to listen to one another really well, and we work really well together. So I'm excited to see how it all gels out this season, but I think it'll go really well.
What are your team's goals and expectations for next season? Because obviously last season was not an easy year for your team on a lot of different aspects. So sort of what's your team's sort of mentality heading in to next year to sort of just get better?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing this year is just building on the confidence that we were building last year. And that was kind of set as a foundation. And now it's just acting as a unit. We got, like I said, really close off the ice last year. And now it's just time to show that on the ice. And we're all really excited to do that.
So we're now in a segment I like to call the non-hockey segment, where I ask you some non-hockey questions just to get to know you a little bit more off the ice. So first thing is, one thing that people might not know about yourself is you have a YouTube channel with 12,000 subscribers, which I found pretty unbelievable when I found out. I've subscribed myself. I just want to
Oh,
let you.
thanks.
So how'd you start a YouTube channel? How'd you grow it? And what type of videos do you make? And will there be a new video coming up soon? Because you haven't made one in almost a year.
Oh, that's crazy. Okay, so I started the channel when I was entering my freshman year. So like the freshman COVID fall of 2020. And I kind of started it in the sense that I've always wanted to make videos and do that type of thing. But my parents always said they wanted to experience or just like be a fly on the wall during my college experience. And I mean, they did everything in their power to get me to where I am and to support my siblings and I. So I felt like it was a great combination to be able to have them see that. And for future years, my friends and I can look back and see our college experience played out. So I had a lot of time that freshman fall to make those videos and make the content I wanted of college. But over the past year and a half, at first I was like, I wanted to make content on being an athlete at Harvard, but didn't want to be that freshman, just like pulling out the camera and being like, hey guys, like smile. But I definitely recorded a ton of footage this past year of like housing day and move-in and big events with my friends. I just never have gotten around to edit it, but that's on my agenda for the summer. So I definitely want to get back into it and capture a lot of more experiences.
Are you surprised the channel got to 12,000 people? That's pretty unbelievable. I was like, holy crap. Like,
Yeah.
when I saw the K in front of the channel, I thought that was pretty cool. So,
Thank you. Yeah, that was a bit of a shock. I didn't expect to get as much attention to some of those videos as they got. I'm really grateful for it, and my friends love being in them with me. So sometimes they'll just take the camera and like do their own thing, which I love. But I definitely was not expecting that.
yeah, I think like there's this YouTuber I like who's sort of similar. His name's Pat Shea. He would do like videos of road trips with Maine hockey team, like on the bus and stuff.
Oh,
And
that's awesome.
I know that you sort of did one when you guys were going to Minnesota Duluth. That's sort of what I'm just as a subscriber myself. I feel like it would be cool to see like a road trip
Oh, I'd love to do
where you
that.
talk where it will show the sort of behind the scenes of what that's like, especially to Clarkson with the boat. I want to see what that's like in person.
Wait, that's a great idea. I'll put that on the list.
All
That'd be
right.
a great like segment.
All right, that's all. I just from a subscriber, I just wanna let you know that.
So
So,
keep
and
it coming. Keep
you can
coming.
clip this clip and put in the beginning of your video so people
That's
know where
perfect. That's
exactly.
perfect. I'll at you.
Awesome, I appreciate that. Well, getting back to some more non-hockey questions is what music do you like to listen to?
So I'm a really big country fan. I love Zach Bryan, Luke Combs. I actually was able to go to Zach Bryan this past fall. That was the coolest thing ever. I like cried the whole time. Um, but I love also like rap when I'm working out, like Drake, 21 Savage. And then definitely like Taylor Swift is a big Taylor Swift girl. I don't think I can go to her concert this year, but I'm a Swiftie for life for sure.
That's good. What Taylor Swift era are you in if you had to
Oh,
pick?
oh my God.
I
I
would
have
say I'm personally 1989 because I like a lot of those songs on that album, and I think
read.
I like the vibe of that album too, sort of like New York, like city like.
Yeah.
So that's sort of what I would go with.
Oh my God. I feel like kind of summer vibe. I might be more like, I don't know, Speak Now. I went to the Speak Now tour when I was little.
Hmm.
Um, and so I feel like I'm just stuck in that era forever.
It's a good album though. I'll give you that. I
It's
will
so
say
good.
like her concert looks awesome. Like and all these people that show up, like it's
Oh,
pretty
it's
crazy. I think
the
she's like one of the
outfits.
most. Oh yeah, yeah, it
No,
looks super
it's
cool.
magical. Absolutely magical.
I don't know, like I think she might be like one that has to be the most popular musician in like the last 20 years based on like what I've been seeing with these concerts, the traffic, all that stuff. I think it's pretty
Yeah.
unbelievable to like
No, that's a
read
solid
about.
statement.
Now, if you could have lunch with anyone in the world, who would it be and why?
Okay, so I'm so mixed on this answer because can it be like past or present?
It can be whoever you want. It can be someone you know.
Okay, so two answers. Both are my grandmothers, one on my mom's side, one on my dad's side. So my dad's side, my grandmother had a stroke. I was pretty little when it happened, and so whenever we communicated with her, it was always a little bit harder to talk with her. And I know I mean, she was so loving, happy as a clam, but I'd love to talk with her when like my dad was kind of in college, like at that age for her. Um, and then in terms of my grandma on my mom's side, I would want to talk to her when she was in college. She went to UT Austin and she met my grandfather and they got engaged in 5 weeks and they went to Germany together and had this like 50+ year love story. But I'd love to talk to her like at that era of her life because we're so close now, but I feel like I never knew her or like what she was like in that stage. So it'd be both of them.
That seems like a good movie to make about your grandparents meeting.
That's what we keep saying. They sent love letters to each other back and forth for like years, I want to say, while he was in Germany and she came back. Or no, it was her. I actually got that story wrong. It's her mom and dad that sent love letters to each other for 2 years
Yeah.
while my great grandfather was at war. And my mom has been on her for like the longest time to like write a book about it or like do something. So we've have all these old letters that you look back on and it's just like times are so different.
Oh yeah. The standard probably is very high though. Like after hearing about that,
100%. Like always has been because of them.
I feel like that'll be good for at least people in my family. I think it'd be cool to talk to my grandfather. He served in Vietnam, and I know he doesn't really talk about that much, but it'll be cool, sort of cool to meet him like as my age now and sort of ask what that
Yeah.
was like and how the times in the '60s were obviously very tumultuous and very chaotic. So sort of like how he managed it as a kid, because it's kind of crazy to know that I'm the same age as him when he was doing all that stuff.
Wow, that's wild. That'd be so cool.
Now, according to our style rankings, you have some of the best style in all of women's college hockey, third ranked, according to CHT. So
That
I do
is,
have to ask, I know you have the best style in Harvard women's hockey, but outside yourself, who would you say has the best style? Or is it just you?
oh my God, definitely not just me. I would put like other teammates above my, I'd put Hannah Chorsky definitely. Like she shows up to like 6 a.m. lift in like a cute matching Aritzia set, and I'm in like my PJs from the night before and like a grout fit. She just always looks like on point no matter what. So definitely Hannah Chorsky.
What was your thoughts on the being third ranked? I think that's pretty cool.
I was shocked when I saw it. I was like, "Oh my God, what?" But it's funny because the picture I'm wearing, the picture from our Fenway game, Kristen Della Rovere, who's also extremely well dressed. I'm wearing her pants. She let me borrow, and then my roommate Piper, she let me. Actually, she did. I just had to take it because no one was in our room during J term. But I had gotten a coffee that morning that was like crucial to my pregame routine, and I only had a plastic cup. And when I scooter to the rink and I have a plastic cup, it spills all over my outfit. And I didn't want to get Della's pants like gross. So
Yeah.
I put it in that other tumbler. So shout out to both of them for donating.
So pretty much they're the reason why you have arguably the best style in college hockey. So
Completely. And funny story about that trench coat I was wearing in that picture. I was shopping with my mom in high school, like probably like freshman year, and I saw that coat in the store. And I told her, I was like, I want to wear that coat at Harvard. And she was like, what? Like, we're years out from you going to college, whatnot. And I was like, I'm gonna wear that coat at Harvard. And that was the first time I got to wear it at school. So that
that's
was really
awesome.
special.
That's awesome. Do you guys have any cool stuff planned for next season for like big games and stuff?
Ooh, like in terms of like
Like you
uh
guys, I feel like for big games, you got to sort of show up with something flashy to like let people know, like you mean business.
I think Beanpot will definitely be something we have our eyes on to plan in advance.
Okay,
I think Quinnipiac had some fantastic outfits for
yeah,
their pregame. They had like the kind of baseball style fit, which
hmm,
I think it was the Bruins that wore like the old school style
yeah.
fits, which I thought were so cool. And Quinnipiac totally like thought of that before they even saw that too. So definitely getting creative in that realm.
I saw some people on the men's side wear like varsity jackets with like the baseball caps. I thought that was pretty cool,
Yeah.
like sort of old sports style stuff. That I liked a lot.
Yeah, that was really cool. I want to create something like that for hopefully being taught.
Now, last down hockey question is, what's the most interesting thing you've read or seen this week?
Oh, um, Oh, I saw an article that said that California is banning Skittles. And that's pretty sad because I'm a huge Skittle lover. I eat them in between periods and it's like crucial to my routine. So I'm gonna like buy all of the Skittles I can if they end up getting banned in mass as well.
Well, luckily there's no college hockey teams in California, so you don't have to worry
Yeah.
about that. Why
Yep.
are they banning them? Did they say?
There's like apparently 5 toxic chemicals that California is trying to just ban across the state, and it
Okay.
happened to be in Skittles. And I was talking to my mom, and she said that it's like has problems with early childhood development, and she's like, maybe that's why you are the way you are.
I had a ton of skills growing up, and I seem fine, but we'll see. I don't know. I don't
I mean,
know.
look at us now. We're doing great.
I know. So, I guess for me, the most interesting thing, probably just the Vegas Golden Knights making the Stanley Cup final. I know this is supposed to be the non-hockey segment, but I've not been
Oh,
paying attention to the news at all. So,
that's
sort of
okay.
seeing like, I don't know. I thought that was pretty cool, sort of seeing them make it. And now we'll get a new Stanley Cup champion this year. So it'll be interesting to see
Yeah,
what happens.
that'll be really exciting. And the Celtics losing was that was pretty dramatic, pretty big.
Yeah, it's tough, but luckily I'm not the biggest basketball fan. I'm mostly a hockey guy. So the Bruins already broke my heart 2 months ago. So I was
Yeah,
sort of like prepared for it. So I was like, it is what it is. So we'll
that's
see
fair.
hopefully the Red Sox could sort of salvage that a little bit this summer.
Oh, that'd be nice. Yeah, I never grew up like a big basketball fan just because
Yeah.
it's not in Pittsburgh, but I've started to become one. My boyfriend's like the biggest basketball fan, biggest Celtics guy, so I feel like I've started to watch a little bit. And I realize my dad's a big fan too because his family's from up there. But I want to definitely like Pirates aren't they weren't the best last year. But then the Pens not making playoffs this year was crazy. It was the first time in like 18 years or
And that's the
something.
reason why Panthers are in the Stanley Cup final, which is kind of
Yeah,
unbelievable to see how that worked out.
craziness.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest basketball fan myself. My parents met at UConn at a basketball game, so obviously basketball is the reason why I'm here today. But I've
Mhm.
just never really gotten into the sport. I've always just been sort of a hockey guy now. So I don't know. I do watch it occasionally though, like when the Celtics go on these runs, which they've been doing the last few years. So I'm starting to get into it, but I don't know. I'm always a Bruins guy first and
Yeah,
foremost, and Sox guy. And they've found a way to break my heart so many times the last few years. So I'm sort of used to it at this point.
that's fair. You're just numb by now.
Oh yeah. Well, getting back to some hockey questions now for all the younger listeners listening to this pod, what advice would you give them on what it takes to be a college hockey player like yourself?
I think the biggest thing is just learning to bet on yourself because the recruitment process can feel kind of isolating at times, can feel like you're doing a lot of research on your own and trying to figure out where you want to go and what is a good hockey program, but stick to the basics of what feels good, what feels right, go to these schools, tour them, and just listen to your gut. And it's really hard, but don't compare yourself to all these other teammates and players in the hockey world your age and younger, older that are committing to these amazing schools. And just know that everyone's on their own track and all running our own race. And it doesn't matter when you commit, but if you're committing to somewhere that feels right to you and is your dream, then that's all that matters. For me, the process, I was really focused on academics and making sure they had a strong hockey program as well. But I knew that one day I'm going to have to lace up the skates and then for the last time and hang them up. So I definitely wanted to put my career at the forefront of my agenda. And I'm fortunate enough to be able to go to Harvard where hockey is equally as big and as competitive. So just making sure you stick to the basics and listen to your gut.
Or do you have any shout outs you want to give to your family members, friends, teammates, former teammates, and who should we have on the pod next?
Oh my goodness. Shout outs to the Cy Bishop training room gym at Pittsburgh. They've raised me. Definitely Brandon Blandina, who's now an big time NHL ref. He was like one of my coaches and mentors growing up. My parents, my brother, my sister, my coaches at Harvard, teammates, all whole gang. I'm probably missing a million people, but lucky to have all those people. But next on the podcast, oh my God, I definitely would say one of the Pittsburgh girls, but you had Brianna and Mackenzie. I think you'd have a time with my brother on the podcast. That would be electric to listen to. Um, and in terms of like my teammates, you can't go wrong with any of them. They're all like fantastic people. I definitely think Alex Pleachy and Shannon Hollins are fantastic speakers and just really good people to have conversations with. So definitely those two for sure.
Well, I've always wanted to do a goalie episode where two goalies on a pod. I feel like your
That'd
brother
be
and one of
cool.
his Penn State goalie buddies. I feel like that would be cool to talk to, see, hear what that room's like.
Wait, that'd be so sick. Told my brother I was gonna be on your podcast today, and he follows you. He knows all about you. And he was like, "Wait, that's so sick." So he definitely says hello.
Awesome. Well, shout out to him from my end. But I just want to say thank you so much, Eva, for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate your time. It means a lot to myself. You're a great player and a great person, and I'm excited to see your team play next season. I know you guys are going to do great things and have a bounce back year, and have a
Yeah.
great off season and summer, and have some fun. And best of luck in regards to training as well.
Thank you so much. It means so much to get to come on here and talk about my hockey experience and, learn from you. I love what you're doing and, growing the game and especially talking to a lot of girls in college hockey is absolutely huge. We need more people like you. So thank you.